we ma ya jam we birawan we yaran we mukurian mara ko gari ya ka ma wa jam na uri tadi ma kita brajam ire ga.
Forests cover 30% of the land on Earth. It's easy to mistake these places for a wilderness, but in fact, the majority of the world's forests are inhabited. And although these communities might live thousands of miles apart, almost all share one thing in common. For centuries, they have been discriminated against and marginalised. But as the links between forests and our climate become ever more apparent, could it be that forest communities, so long treated as obstacles to progress, will play a leading role in the fight against climate change?
Ma wa jam ni uri o ma di para me ave be pare kwa kare ma ya jam ma ai ku to mi ma bu ka re de au to ma bo ka pue bi de na chi te ma ka pue mu ma cha mu kare ka pue.
Estimates suggest we've lost 1/3 of the Earth's original forest cover.
Nós fomos com 2 tratores, cabo, ia atrás do cabo, levantava quando não ia os pau e derrubava, né? Aí queimava as leiras e aí plantava, né? Começamos a virar no soja, né?
Mato Grosso in Brazil has suffered one of the fastest rates of deforestation anywhere in the world. And some of those responsible are seeing the impact.
Isso eu fico muito sentido quando eu vejo essas coisas, né? Para mim o rio aqui estava cheio de peixe. Hoje não se vê mais nenhum peixe pequeno, não se vê.
And the environmental consequences reach far beyond these borders. Carbon released through forest destruction is one of the main drivers of climate change. And although efforts to reduce it have seen some success, scientists conclude that even if we do halt forest destruction and reduce fossil fuel emissions to zero by 2050, this still won't be enough. And that to meet the international agreement to keep global warming at 1.5 degrees, we'll need to absorb about 500 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
If we plant more forests or encourage more forests to grow on our land, we can absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Some people talk about wanting to have monoculture plantations of eucalyptus or acacia, just to plant them across the tropics to soak up carbon fast. But those forests are going to be very vulnerable to climate change. A diverse natural forest is much more resistant to climate change and much more able to adapt.
But much of the world's diverse forests have been degraded through overexploitation. It's especially bad in the tropics. Here, degraded forests actually release more carbon than they capture. And the problem is vast. Altogether, degraded lands cover an area about twice the size of Canada. But they could be restored. And if that happened, the evidence suggests they could capture all the CO2 we need to keep global warming in check. In order to allow forests to recover, it might seem logical to ban people from using them. But in Nepal, they've already seen what happens when you ban communities from the forests.
Forest was controlled by government. There was no right to the local people to enter the forest. But people, they need forest products as their basic fulfillment. At that time, the local people, they enter the forest illegally and they take out the forest products. And because of that, many forest was destroyed.
In the 1990s, Nepal changed course, not just by giving access, but by handing over full responsibility for forest management to the communities.
Some people thought that there would be a carnage in the forest because people would just want to make a quick buck. They found the exact opposite.
म बेगर आउँदाखेरि यो ठाउँमा त वनको स्थिति उजाड थियो त्यो बेलामा सामुदायिक वन पनि थिएन त्यो बेलामा सरकारी वन थियो अब सामुदायिक वन हस्तान्तरण गरेपछि यो हामीले जोगाएर हामीले के गर्न सकिन्छ.
Now, Nepal has over 17,000 community forest user groups, free to make their own decisions about how their forest will be used and maintained. Shakuntala is the Vice President of Sundar Community Forest Committee.
हामीले सुन्दर सामुदायिक वनमा चाहिँ अब हाम्रो 11 जनाको कमिटी छ 11 जनाको कमिटीमा 6 जना महिला छौं
Women have better knowledge about their forest resources, which part of the forest is good, which part of the forest is bad, and where is non-timber forest products. That's why women's participation in forest management activities is important.
चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ हर्रो बर्रो अमला अनि रक्तचन्दन 36 साल अनि हेर त्यहाँबाट कुट उस के रे टाकीहरु चाहिँ हामीले वृक्षारोपण कुरिलो अनि सर्पगन्धा चाहिँ हामीले उ गरेका छौं रोपेको छौं
Communities usually prefer natural forests with lots of different trees in, lots of different species, medicinal plants, plants that are loved by animals, plants that sustain fisheries in the rivers. So we can have a win-win here. A good natural forest is better for communities, but also better for protecting our climate.
The community still sells timber, but they set strict rules on how much can be cut, and all the forest users get to vote on how the generated income is spent.
जति हाम्रो लगानी हाम्रो आको आम्दानी अनुसार 25% हाम्रो जंगलमा काम गर्नै पर्छ अनि 35% चाहिँ हामीले के रे अरु के रे आयमूलक कामहरु जस्तो गरिब निर्धन गर्नको लागि महिलाहरुको लागि
Some of this went towards installing biogas plants at people's homes. Vishnu lives near the forest and used to rely on timber for cooking.
मलाई चाहिँ दाउरामा भात पकाउनु भन्दा दाउरामा धुवा धुलो हुन्छ बढी यो ग्यासमा चाहिँ धेरै सुविधा हावा अब सर्र धुवा धुलो पनि हुँदैन सर्लको चाहिँ त्यो एकचोटी चाहिँ एउटा गोठको गाई भइहाल्छ हामीलाई सुविधा पनि हुने स्वास्थ्यको लागि राम्रो पनि आफ्नो एक त वन पनि संरक्षण हुने
Vishnu was also invited to take part in vocational training, funded by the community forest.
स्कुल गए एसएलसी मा ब्याक लागेर बिहे भयो बच्चा बच्ची भयो त्यतिकै म गएन कलेज म चाहिँ यो काष्ठकला सिकेर धेरै खुसी छु एकदम भित्रै आत्मादेखिकै म खुसी छु हैन चाहिँ त अब त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ मैले घरमा पनि पहिला उजाड भएको जंगल आज भरि भराउ भएर चाहिँ यति राम्रो राम्रो उ छ हैन अब हाम्रो त काठको त धेरै मूल्य छ नि त त्यही भएर म खुसी छु
The results speak for themselves. Since returning forests to communities, Nepal's forest cover has increased by 20%, one of the fastest rates of recovery in the world. And this success has inspired people in other countries.
I've been very fortunate of being able to go to Nepal. I thought Nepal was quite advanced in this idea of giving local communities the right to manage the forest lands, way ahead of what we were doing. And that, of course, was a great inspiration to me to see that.
Bill is a retired crofter who lives in the Highlands of Scotland.
A crofter is someone who occupies a small holding. It's enough land for a family to produce food, to rear some animals, but we occupy them as tenants because in the Highlands of Scotland, huge tracts of land are owned by absentee millionaires, sometimes living abroad, and we as crofters were paying rents to these people.
When the wealthy landowners went bankrupt, Bill and his fellow crofters saw an opportunity. They clubbed together and, with support from the Scottish Government, raised the funds to buy the land, 28,000 hectares in total.
It was the first community who stood up and said, no, enough's enough, we want our land back. And we're putting back woodlands into the landscape to a landscape that used to be much more woody than it is now. And the importance of woodlands in taking up carbon, that's being encouraged by the government, which has been quite generous in supplying significant grants.
So far, the community has established 800 hectares of new native woodland, and they plan to grow much more.
Here is a very important tourist area here. People like to know there's wildlife, and it's been very exciting for me. The wildlife is expanding. We get badgers, of course, we get foxes, we get pine martens coming through. And in order to establish these woodlands, we've actually been training young people. So we've brought in a whole new lot of skills into the community.
I was 27 when I started working in forestry full time. I've employed quite a few people over the years, 2 or 3 guys that have now become full-time contractors themselves.
That new generation is going to grow up linked to the land. Young people in particular, they're playing in the woodlands, they're learning about woodland trees, they're learning about woodland animals. They didn't have the opportunity before.
However, back in Brazil, some communities are worried that the next generation won't have any forest at all.
There's a long history of indigenous tribes in the Amazon being at loggerheads with outsiders coming in, wanting to clear the forest, wanting to put in farms or put in cattle ranching. They fought wars over this kind of thing.
But in the Xingu River Basin, the tide is turning. Farmers are waking up to the consequences of deforestation.
O rio Tanguro, para mim, é vida. Se não tem água, não tem árvore. Se não tem árvore, não tem água.
People are discovering that when they want to farm, the environment in which they do that is very dependent on forests. And if they destroy all the forests, the soils go, the water is lost.
So indigenous groups are now helping farmers restore the forest on their land.
Avançam muito para explicar para eles fazer algumas coisas que eles não fazem de errado, que estão fazendo de errado, a gente fala, não, assim vai prejudicar isso, vocês têm que fazer assim para não prejudicar. Assim a gente vai ser vizinho bom e a gente nunca vai brigar.
The project also brings economic benefits. Indigenous people receive an income for collecting seeds from the forest.
Para nós é importante que essa restauração seja feita, seja continuada. A gente gostaria, que fosse uma coisa que vai garantir o futuro dos rios e também futuro da natureza, para a preservação das cabeceiras, principalmente dos rios e córregos, e também para a mudança da clima.
So if indigenous tribes and ranchers from outside can find common cause in saying not just we have to stop deforestation, but we want to start reforestation, that's going to be a really powerful thing. And I believe that Brazilian model can be adopted elsewhere in the world.
E o que o senhor está achando dessa recuperação que a gente fez na propriedade do senhor?
Porque hoje você já vê que já é mata quase. 4, 5 anos atrás era que nem aí, não tinha nada que nem aqui, Hoje já você vê a árvore no meio, tá crescendo bem, tá saindo bem, tá bem formada. Além de tudo, o serviço que deu, mas valeu a pena.
In Nepal, Bishnu is also feeling proud.
एउटा महिलाले गरेको चाहिँ एउटा यो काष्ठकलाको चाहिँ कत्रो इज्जत र पहिचान हुँदो रहेछ भनेर चाहिँ म यसमा धेरै खुसी छु। एउटा महिलाले पनि एउटा केटा मान्छेले मात्रै गर्ने काम पनि
Bishnu has gone on to open a shop selling her own handmade furniture.
अब अहिले त म हात खाली त बसेको छैन, मेरो पनि घरमा पनि फर्निचर उद्योग भएर अब यहाँ मैले फर्निचर उद्योगबाट व्यवसाय गरेर हाम्रो घर परिवार बच्चा पढाउनु अनि त्यसरी अहिले यत्रो रुख भइसक्यो, काम लाग्ने रुखहरू ठुल्ठुला भएन। त्यस्तो परिवर्तन चाहिँ धेरै भए। मलाई खुसी लाग्छ किनभने मेरो अब छोरा नातिको पालालाई पनि यो काठ चाहिँ अब पुग्ने भयो।
This is not just a matter of human rights for forest communities. This is a practical matter of how best to get carbon into forests. If we're going to tackle climate change and prevent global warming, we've got to shut down our fossil fuel burning. We have to stop deforestation, and we need to give forests back to local communities.
मेरो चाहिँ घर नजिकै मन्दिर भएको कारणले त्यो फेरि शिव चाहिँ काठ उपलब्ध चाहिँ सामुदायिक वनले चिरानी गरेको काठहरू चाहिँ सोमबार गएर चाहिँ शिवको मन्दिरमा सोमबार चाहिँ शिवजीको पूजा गर्ने भन्छ नि, त्यहाँ जल चढाउने अनि बेलपत्रहरू चढाउने अनि आउने गर्छौँ। शिवको पूजा गरेपछि घर परिवारमा श्रीमानको लागि छोराछोरीको लागि चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्यले चाहिँ म सधैँ शिवकै पूजा गर्छु।